At exactly 4:48 a.m. on January 30th, 2026, the world unknowingly lost a voice that had carried comfort, chaos, and laughter into homes for nearly 5 decades. There were no cameras, no stage lights, and no applause when Catherine O'Hara passed away quietly in Los Angeles. Official statements offered little detail, describing only a brief illness, but the suddenness stunned fans who had seen her vibrant and sharp just weeks earlier. For an artist who had spent her life giving joy without demanding attention in return, her exit was characteristically private. The shock was not just that she was gone, but that she had managed to leave without spectacle. In an industry addicted to dramatic finales, Catherine O'Hara slipped away with grace, leaving behind questions not rooted in scandal, but in awe. How does someone so alive simply vanish? The answer lies not in mystery, but in a lifetime of quiet strength. A childhood built on humor and heart. Catherine O'Hara's instinct for comedy did not come from ambition, but from survival. Raised in a large, lively Catholic family in Toronto, she learned early that humor was a language, a way to be heard in a house full of voices. It was there that she developed the timing, observation, and empathy that would define her career. Comedy, for her, was never about ego. It was about connection. When she joined the legendary Second City comedy troupe in the 1970s, she entered a demanding environment that required intelligence as much as courage. Surrounded by future icons, she did not compete for attention, but disappeared into characters so completely that audiences forgot the performer behind them. This ability to dissolve into roles became her signature. Even then, those close to her noted her humility. She never spoke of stardom. She spoke of the work. That grounding would later protect her in an industry that often consumes its brightest talents, becoming a cultural constant. For many, Catherine O'Hara became unforgettable the moment she screamed, "Kevin," in Home Alone. That single moment embedded her into global memory, transforming her into a symbol of frantic love and imperfect motherhood. Year after year, families welcomed her back into their living rooms, often without realizing how rare that level of cultural permanence truly is. Yet fame of that magnitude never changed her priorities. While audiences saw effortless brilliance, she approached each role with meticulous care. Comedy to her was precise work. Every pause, every glance, every inflection mattered. She did not chase laughs, she earned them. Roles in films like Beetlejuice further showcased her range, balancing absurdity with humanity. But even at the height of her popularity, she resisted becoming larger than life. She remained grounded, choosing meaningful collaborations over constant visibility. Long before stepping away, she had already decided that fame would never be the loudest voice in her life. Choosing life over the spotlight. At the peak of her career in the early 1990s, Catherine O'Hara made a decision that quietly confused Hollywood. Instead of accelerating toward constant lead roles and endless press tours, she slowed down. Marriage and motherhood shifted her definition of success. She did not abandon her craft, she rebalanced it. She set firm boundaries about time, travel, and presence, choosing roles that allowed her to remain connected to home. To outsiders, it looked like a disappearance. In reality, it was a refusal to trade intimacy for applause. She understood that careers can be rebuilt, but childhood moments cannot. During these years, she continued working selectively, lending her voice to animated films and choosing projects that respected her priorities. While the industry speculated, she lived fully. The so-called gap in her resume was not absence, it was intention. And that choice would later give her return to the spotlight an uncommon depth, love as a quiet anchor. Behind Catherine O'Hara's grounded life was a partnership defined by respect rather than spectacle. Her marriage to production designer Beau Welch was never treated as a brand or a headline. It was private, steady, and enduring. Their relationship thrived away from red carpets and public narratives, built instead on shared values and mutual understanding. Welch supported her decisions not as sacrifices, but as expressions of clarity. In an industry where relationships often buckle under pressure, theirs endured because neither demanded more than the other could give. Home was not an escape from work. It was the foundation that made meaningful work possible. Friends often noted that O'Hara was happiest in ordinary moments, cooking, laughing, and simply being present. That stability allowed her to return to acting on her own terms later in life, not as someone chasing relevance, but as someone confident enough to wait until the timing felt right. The return that changed everything. When Schitt's Creek arrived, it did not feel like a comeback. It felt like a revelation. Catherine O'Hara's portrayal of Moira Rose was fearless, strange, vulnerable, and unforgettable. She did not simply play the role, she built it. From the eccentric voice to the theatrical physicality, every detail was deliberate. The performance resonated because it carried decades of lived experience. Audiences sensed that this was not desperation, but freedom. She was no longer proving herself, she was expressing herself. The awards and acclaim that followed validated not only her talent, but her patience. She showed that stepping away does not dull brilliance, it preserves it. In her 60s, she became a cultural phenomenon again, reminding Hollywood that longevity is not about staying visible, but about staying honest. Her success was not loud, but it was undeniable. A life lived without noise. One of the most striking aspects of Catherine O'Hara's legacy is the absence of chaos around it. She avoided public feuds, tabloid drama, and personal oversharing. This was not secrecy born of fear, but privacy chosen with intention. She believed that audiences deserved the work, not the worker's wounds. Even in moments of personal grief, she carried herself with dignity. Those who worked with her described a professional who showed up prepared, generous, and fully present. She did not burden sets with ego or entitlement. Instead, she lifted others, often mentoring younger performers quietly and without credit. In an industry built on exposure, she protected her inner life fiercely. That restraint, often mistaken for distance, was actually discipline. She knew that not every truth needs an audience, and when her health declined, she approached it the same way she lived, privately, calmly, and without asking the world to watch. The final silence and its meaning. When news of her passing reached the public, the reaction was immediate and profound. Tributes poured in, not filled with gossip or speculation, but gratitude. Co-stars spoke of kindness. Fans spoke of comfort. One voice in particular reflected the emotional truth behind the headlines. Macaulay Culkin, who expressed not shock, but sorrow that time felt shorter than expected. That sentiment echoed globally. Her passing did not feel like the loss of a celebrity. It felt personal, and perhaps that is her greatest achievement. She made millions feel seen without demanding anything in return. She left behind no unfinished business, no public conflicts, no bitterness, only work that continues to make people laugh, feel, and remember. Her silence now is not empty. It is full of meaning, reminding us that the most powerful legacies are built quietly, through consistency, care, and presence. What Catherine O'Hara leaves behind. Catherine O'Hara's life challenges the way we measure success. Her story is not about how many roles she took, but about the ones she chose carefully. It is not about constant visibility, but about balance. She proved that stepping away does not equal failure, and that returning later can be even more powerful. She showed that laughter does not have to come at the cost of self. As audiences, we often consume joy without considering what it costs the person creating it. Her life invites us to do better, to listen more closely, to value presence over performance. She did not burn out. She lived well, and when she left with dignity, surrounded by love, not noise. Catherine O'Hara may no longer be with us, but the warmth of her choices remains. She didn't just entertain us, she showed us how to live.